December 19, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. There's no trades for me today because I couldn't focus completely on the charts. I was kind of up and about from my desk all day. But I did look at it kind of throughout the day and mark where I thought I saw setups, and there were quite a few setups today. Also, a lot of volume. It was pretty much, I would say, range bound. It had this big spike up in the pre-market. Let me just go ahead and pre-market had this big spike up, very, 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 very choppy sideways action. And even when I did draw up the chart, it was like this larger range was hard to find. And so I was playing these smaller ranges, smaller, I guess, smaller ranges, but then there was a lot of these legs that I was trying to play. And when I was looking at this, I think a lot of these trades are very difficult to take because the bars were really large today. They're like 5, 6, 7 points, which makes your stop loss not only sometimes have to include that size bar, but maybe you have to keep it higher for the next adjacent bar to have an appropriate stop loss. So just seeing that, I mean, it was just kind of a really choppy, really noisy day. Now, I wasn't able to trade yesterday either, but this is the chart from yesterday. I did draw it up. I didn't make a video, but it was like a really slow price action till the FOMC meeting, which is right here at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard. Then it had to sell off. And then right around 11:30, when Fed Chair Powell comes out right here, you can see he kind of accelerated. Well, I wouldn't say he by himself, but what he said and with how the market interpreted it really accelerated the selling. So it was quite a huge move. It was from like high of 61.48 all the way down to, in regular trading hours, 59.40. So it's like 120, almost 200 point. Let me just double check. 61.48. Yeah, 59.40. So it's a 200 point drop on the ES, which is is really large. It's quite incredible. So I'm going to go into the charts today. And then today, there wasn't quite a recovery. It was just pretty much range bound. The only economic data that came out was at 5:30, which is about right here, and didn't really do too much. It was the final GDP numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to try to rush through this a little bit because there are a lot of setups that I marked. So it was kind of hitting a range. If I found this green up channel break, test the new high, and it kept going. When it bounced here, I didn't quite have this yellow up channel established yet. Well, let me take that back. This is the pre-market, so I'm not really even trading this. So the trades in here, I'm not that concerned with just because I wouldn't have traded them anyways. But there was a second entry long here. But I didn't really like the second entry long, even though it had a confirmation bounce here. I needed it to break above here. But, you know, if this was regular trading hours, I wouldn't have even tried to take this anyways. So it moves up on this yellow up channel. It didn't quite fit the channel that well. I was playing with it, like maybe something like this, but didn't really help. And it was in the pre-market, so it didn't really matter for my strategy. Okay, then it opens, creates this test of this pre-market highs. There's this orange up channel break, and it looks like it made 2 legs up, but then it's also kind of like 3 legs up. So it's hard to see what was really going on to trust my chart read. It comes falling back down on this green down channel, bounce, kind of pushes up, 1 leg up, pull back, second leg up. It's only a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. It's a bad signal bar. I don't really like it. It is 2 legs up. 2 legs up after a break of maybe this yellow up channel, but it was just ambiguous here. So I decided to stay away. On top of that, I was already noticing the size of these candles are starting to grow. Because if you look at this R value, that's the size of the candle. I mean, look at this. This is a 4.5, 3.3. This is just like getting large, these candles, and then they get really big later. So it's hard to take a trade because your stop loss will have to be below the most obvious swing low, or not swing low, just the most obvious point low. And it could be more than the signal bar itself. So it's a little bit tricky today. There's a push down on this green down channel and a push back up. I thought there was some kind of support here, but didn't really get a triple test. But I thought it was going to develop into a range with this potentially being the low. It starts off here as a new low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short, and then you have a lower high confirmation. I thought it was a possible trade, but I felt it was rather aggressive because this is a really big signal bar. I did like that it moved one tick up and then flushed and engulfed this. If you didn't take it on the engulfing, I would be very careful trying to take it down here, even though you do have enough room, because even if this candle looks really good, it's a 6.25, so this is a 25 tick candle. And so you wouldn't even put your stop here. You'd put it at the next obvious point up here because, in the life of this candle, I don't know necessarily you put the stop here because you don't know if it's going to reverse before it closes. So if you had to put it up here, you're adding another 3 points, another 12 ticks. So it's just really hard to try to take this trade. Prices move down, it gets very choppy. Nothing super clean as a new low. So first entry short, bad signal bar for second entry short. EMA thus far and into the day is going to prove to be not very reliable as a key entry point. So, because it's not being respected on the resistance or support side. So right here, why would you even trust it as a resistance yet? Because this isn't even a clear trend down. So I'm just watching. I do draw this yellow down channel because it looks like it's one touch, two touch, three touch, and then one touch, two touch. So I would trust a short of a bounce off of this more than I would trust a long of a bounce off of here so far because it's more confirmations at the top. So it's a new high here. It's a first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long. Nothing really here worth taking because you're going clearly on a bearish sell-off. It's just getting noisy, and I do see this new low as a first entry short, pullback, second entry short failure. Okay, so I do like that it pushed strongly. It looks like it's one leg up, pullback, second leg up. It pushed strongly above the EMA, but it's moving into a potential resistance. At least I saw a potential resistance right here. So this could be starting a range. I'm not sure because it could be selling off and then moving sideways into a range. A little ambiguous. I'm not 100% sure. It's a good signal bar, but I wanted a higher low confirmation. And you kind of get this higher low confirmation right here, but it's kind of far from the EMA. This signal bar is 6 points. That's 24 ticks. Again, it's running into the issue that I kind of had it seen all day, which is these signal bars are huge, like bigger than what I feel comfortable with taking a trade. If I was swinging and I had a bigger account, maybe I'd take the chance, but it just feels too risky to take this kind of trade. But you do get your higher low right here, but I have to skip it. Then prices continue moving. And it bounces, it creates a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, second entry long, second entry long right here has failed. So I call this an almost trade, similar to this one being an almost trade. So it's a second entry long. It's a break of this green up channel, but it was a break on this side first. There's an overshoot. It may move back into here. It made a symmetric bounce. So it's like first entry, second entry long failure. What I really wanted was like it's a good signal bar, but I wanted it. So I've said before that the EMA isn't reliable, but when I couple the EMA reliability with a clear support that's happening right here. So prior to this signal bar, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts to break. I mean, it succeeded. You could argue it succeeded these 2 times. EMA looks like it's coming into play, although I don't give it as much reliability yet. What I do give reliability to is this support line. So it's selling right into here. So what's to say it won't be first entry long pullback? This could seem like a failed second entry long, but it could be a trap. It could continue upwards to test the highs. So I called it an almost trade, just didn't really want to risk it. And I wanted a lower high confirmation. So get your lower high confirmation right here. And this is what I think is a possible trade. The lower high confirms a second entry long failure. And I do like that it moved one tick up and engulfed the previous bar, but really, really strong signal bar close. But here's the thing. Again, this is a 22 tick risk at least, because you'd have to, because I wouldn't really take it on the engulfing. I take it after this close. So I take it either at the lows here or one tick below. But putting my stop here doesn't feel quite right. I probably put it higher up. And this is a huge risk to reward. So it's a possible trade for me. I mean, if you're going for one to one, you do have enough room down, but I just didn't feel comfortable taking this trade. In this case, it would have worked, but you don't know that this is going to happen, these next four candles down. If you got it, that's like bravo to you. Then prices continue. It starts looking like it's falling in this yellow down channel. It's a new low, first entry short, pull back. I saw this. I didn't really mark it. It's a second entry short. It's not even an almost trade because the signal bar has a body kind of in the middle. If it closes to the low, maybe there's a trade here because then I feel a little more confident. Like this yellow down channel needs to break and test the low because this shallow yellow down channel, this could be argued as testing the low. I'm not really sure it's going to come back down and test it again. So nothing really here, just ambiguous. I'm not sure. Prices then continue moving down, breaks this yellow, continues down. I tried to draw something like this, but I couldn't. I didn't really like this all that much, having this kind of trading range. So it's like a leg down, bounce, and then a more shallow leg. So it just wasn't that clean. Hits the low, reverses up. It's a first entry long pullback. This technically creates a second entry long. I didn't mark it, but this is a second entry long. It's a bad signal bar to go long on. This yellow up channel doesn't exist yet. But if this had closed higher, like up here, maybe there would be like a decent trigger bar that you would think there's enough room to push to the highs. But I didn't. I marked it. I saw it in real time. I'm not really sure what I was looking at, so left it alone. And just look at the size of this candle. This is like 7.5 points. So 20, 30 tick candle. That's huge. It's just something I'm not comfortable with. It also made a measured move, so I'm just watching now. Reverses back down. It's a new high, localized new high. First entry long, pullback. Second entry long. Second entry long with a higher low. Second entry long with a higher low confirms the second entry long. The break of this green down channel, test the low, one attempt, two attempts. So the downtrend may have played out. I drew this as a supporting trend line, and I put it at the top so it became a channel. This is confirming a higher low, but it just kind of runs into the same issue that I had all day. It's just this is a big candle. This is a 20 tick candle, and I'm just, EMA may be starting to act as support, but it's also sideways. So this is an aggressive trade that I just decided to skip. It kind of became a theme because I was also, my attention wasn't fully on the charts today. It was kind of off and on depending on the time of day. So yeah, this is just a huge candle. It would have worked, but you don't know that at the time. Breaks. It's the first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here, not a really clean setup. Left it alone. It looks like it's two legs down. It's localized new high. First entry long pullback. This is not a good signal bar to go long on. And it just kind of chops sideways. This is just kind of like, and previously it's like, wow, there's kind of setups popping up everywhere. Unfortunately, unlike the last few weeks, these candles are huge and they're just kind of flashing hard, flashing big and flashing fast. So it made me extra cautious and just weary. So you do have a new low here. It's a first entry long, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I think this is marked incorrectly. This should be a short. There we go. It's a failed second entry short. Failed second entry short. It's a break of this smaller range, potential breakout pullback. Excuse me. Potential breakout pullback. Entry bar I'd probably buy at the top of this, but I'm worried about this because before this one printed, I'm wondering, am I in another range? Is this like a sub range, or if there's a larger range here, am I hitting the midline? I'm not sure. It is a strong push up. Like this is I would say, almost trade for me. And the EMA is, definitely kind of there. I just wanted to wait for a higher low. Pushes up. You don't really get a higher low. It just kind of runs away without you. You could argue there's a higher low, but this is so far from this setup. It's not even related. I wouldn't even call it a higher low at this point. Hits this consolidation area. I drew this green up channel, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. It just doesn't look that clean. Well, this doesn't feel very like fits that well. I did think it was maybe here of an overshoot, but I later dragged it up to here. But when I have this much confusion, then I'm just extra cautious on taking any kind of trades. Breaks to the low, pushes to the high. It's a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. The second entry long I actually thought was a possible trade. It's a break of this orange down channel, tests and successfully tested low. I'm thinking I'm starting to form a possible range here, and it could be bouncing from the bottom of the range and coming back up. This is technically the signal bar, but this is a really good trigger bar because it has engulfing, it moved down and engulfs. Downtrend is played out. I'm thinking it's going to move back up. Really good close. Again, the whole thing that's stopping me is just this large candle. This is a 21 tick candle. So I'm just kind of having to restrain myself because, trying to go for 1 or 2 points, risking five, you'd have to risk at least 5 for 5, and that's just not something I'm ready for or just mentally prepared for at this stage. Prices then move down. It looks like it's one leg down pullback, second leg down, and then it creates this lower high. This lower high also looks like a visual because I looked at a 4,000 tick chart. First entry long pullback, second entry long failure. So it's coming from the top of this, which I've kind of been playing with. Is this a possible range here? Or at least some kind of resistance area here and some kind of support area down here. So I drew this blue trading range as just kind of a placeholder to help guide where I think prices are going to move. So it's coming from the top. It's a potential fail breakout here. Excuse me. And it's coming down now. Visual second entry long failure. It's a decent signal bar right here, close below the EMA. It's pushing down. If I was also playing this smaller trading range, it looks like a potential fail breakout pullback and it's continuing back down here. This one's actually slightly smaller. It's only like 17 ticks, but still it's huge. Well, not huge, but it's just really large than what I'm used to. It ends up working, kind of chopping sideways. There's nothing really good here to try trade. You just get chopped up here. And it starts moving down. I drew this yellow down channel. Actually, I think I had this yellow down channel as a trend line before, and I treated it as a potential third key entry point because the EMA is starting to hold prices down, but I didn't take the trade. Prices move down. As a slight overshoot here, it's a new low. Say first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I marked this because it looks like it's a break of this yellow down channel. It's moving back into the channel. It's a really nice setup, except these are huge candles again. This is a 26 tick candle. So it's like, yeah, these things are pretty huge. If you're more aggressive than I am, there's probably a lot of opportunities to really build your account today if you are more willing to take a huge, bigger risk. Prices, I mean, even on a one contract trade, you're taking a kind of a large risk on 6 points. 6 points is already 300 bucks. Excuse me. Then prices continue moving. It chops, it kind of bottoms out where I think this is the bottom of this range that I'm working with. No clean setup. Is a failed breakout, break of this green up channel. It didn't really quite make an attempt. It came back down, bottoms. They first entry long. Prices has moved too far now to kind of be looking for a second entry long to add to this. So I'm just kind of waiting. Chops around and it starts moving up. It breaks this green up channel. First attempt up makes it second attempt up. Technically second attempt up here, but it's a little confusing. I'm not sure because I don't like these candles being side by side like that. And plus they're pretty big. So I'm just watching, sitting on my hands waiting. It starts floating upwards. No clean setup. Then I do see a new high. First entry long, pullback. Second entry long. It makes a double top. It also is a new low. First entry short. Second entry short. This could be a higher low, and it could be a failed second entry long. So it's excuse me, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Technically, the count has reset, but it could be a higher low confirming the second entry long, but it's since been, count reset. I think this is meant to be a failed second entry short. Yes, because I was thinking, oh, it's breaking out of this purple up channel. It could be moving back in, but I also noticed it made two clean legs up on a bigger time frame. You see two clean legs up. It already achieved it. So to attempt to push it back in a fourth time, because 1, 2, 3, a fourth time, it feels dicey. Even though it's a setup for a failed second entry short, it's a bounce off the EMA, which is a little more reliable at this point. It just feels risky. Excuse me. It's moving into a resistance area, so I left it alone. It worked, but of course you don't know that at the time. pushes up, first entry long pullback, second entry long, first entry long, second entry long, second entry long failure. I mean, I like that it moved one tick up and engulfed the previous. Again, the signal bar is huge. It didn't quite bounce off the EMA. It is a potential move on this green down channel, so there might be a trade here. Actually, I should just go ahead and mark it. Failed second entry long. Oh, I know why I didn't mark it. It's okay. Actually, no, it should be marked. First entry long, second entry long failure. Eventually a move down, but yeah, it's excuse me. Okay, so I saw this in new highs at first entry long pullback, second entry long failure. So second entry long here and it failed. So there is a possible trade here. Again, I'm just really conservative today. Just didn't like the size of the candles. Prices move down. It's choppy. You have a second entry short here, new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, all on the same candle with the signal bar. This is a decent setup. I thought there was a possible trade here. With a good EMA rejection, break of the screen down channel needs to test a low. Prices then continue moving. It gets small here, sideways price action, nothing I particularly like. New high, first entry long, second entry long, failure, but this is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Drops. I drew this yellow down channel because it looked like it's a spike and then a more shallow down channel. Not the biggest fan of it right there. New low, first entry short. Technically have a second entry short and second entry short failure. The thing I didn't really like about this is a first entry short, second entry short failure. This is a pretty small signal bar with respect to what's been happening today. But now that it's tested the highs of this, I don't know that necessarily it's going to keep making a second leg, or has the uptrend played out, it's going to test the lows of this yellow down channel. Turns out it kept moving up. As a new high, it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long failure, but I call this an almost trade because it's a break of this yellow down channel, made two attempts up, one attempt, pullback, second attempt, and now it's making a new low, or not, it's going to, I think, test the low of this yellow down channel. I don't like the signal bar. Technically, you have an EMA rejection, but the EMA is flat. So it's kind of entering the area of, I don't trust the EMA just yet again. So I wanted a lower high confirmation. Unfortunately, you don't get that. Bounce, prices move up. It's a new low, first entry short, pullback. This second entry short, if this wasn't so late in the day, I think there might have been a trade here because it looks like there's some kind of resistance here. And this resistance is actually from my pre-market highs and lows of the midline, but it wasn't super reliable because it only had a second confirmation here. And then the pre-market high, it's just not the best. So even though there's this faint line here, I didn't attribute this or take it into a key consideration as a key entry point. But I did think it was a green channel up, break, test the high, maybe coming back down. There does seem to be some kind of resistance zone here, but it's too late in the day. If this, as I said, formed earlier in the day, then I think this is a trade worth taking. But if you wanted to, you would wait for a lower high, and then you get a lower high here. But this lower high feels more of an almost trade. I just didn't like that it was green. This orange down channel has broken and needs to test the low. If you're more aggressive, you could take it. EMA again is not quite reliable, so I don't really trust it as a key entry point, saying that it broke below the EMA. That's in today didn't really mean all that much. Then pushes down, kind of bounces off the pre-market low, but then it pushes through on this yellow down channel, break, push up on this green, test the high. It's a new low here. First entry short, pullback, second entry short. This second entry short, I actually thought it was a decent setup. Unfortunately, it's like 4 minutes before the close. I like it because this yellow down channel has broken, made one attempt. It could be starting a second attempt, but also the uptrend of this green has played out. Broke and tested the high. So it looks like it's coming back down. So this signal bar is technically this one. It's a good signal bar. Even though it's inside this guy, I like the follow through trigger bar. It's a very bearish trigger bar. It also made 3 attempts to try to break above, but it couldn't. So all indications seem like it's going to push down and through. In this case, it does. But again, it's not a trade worth taking when it's so close to the end of the day. So yeah, there was quite a few setups today that I marked. Unfortunately, the it was outside my, I guess, my mental comfort where the signal bars and the setups would require very big stop losses. Even if you tried to say, I'm going to go up to 2, 3, 4 points or 1 to 1, just trading one contract, these are big swings, and other traders out there would be comfortable doing that. But at my progression level, I don't feel that comfortable yet, mainly because I don't trust I'm reading the charts fully correctly yet to trust my read, my intuition yet. So it ended up being a no trade day. Plus, again, I was kind of distracted today. So even though there's charts that look like there was a bunch of trades, some of the times I had to go back and find those setups because I might have left the table, come back, and there's a lot of candles printed, and then go back, look for the setup, and just wonder if I would have taken it in real time. So yeah, it's just one more day, and then yeah, the next week is going to be kind of a slow, weird day. I might just take the whole week off. I'm not I think I'll probably trade tomorrow, but it was just, yeah, it was a funky week. I anticipate next week to be the same since Christmas is going to be pretty much no trading, and then Christmas Eve is a half day of trading. And then after that, I'm not sure if there's going to even be that much volume with a lot of people probably just taking off through to the next year. So hopefully that was helpful.